Welcome to The Footy Coach. Can a football player single-handedly win a trophy? Throughout the history of football, we've talked about the brilliance and beauty of magnificent players such as Pele, Di Stefano, Lionel Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo. But only one player has been thought of as single-handedly carrying teams to a trophy. This is the myth of Diego Maradona, one of the greatest players ever. It's 1986, Mexico. The World Cup has arrived and the Argentina squad was, you could say politely, in disarray. Daniel Passarella, the stalwart of the 1978 World Cup winning team, was at odds with the inclusion of Diego Maradona, who had been an awful influence in the 1982 World Cup and had cost them their chance at winning the trophy. Carlos Bilardo, however, having been put in charge, decided on a shift. He made Maradona captain. Passarella somehow got disastrous food poisoning on the eve of the World Cup, and Bilardo then implemented his 3-5-2 system built around Maradona. Argentina, of course, went on to lift the trophy, with Maradona center stage, his goals, his assists, and the hand of God leading them all the way. The myth was born. Maradona led a really bad Argentine team to the World Cup, him alone. The memory of this World Cup is that Maradona won the World Cup alone. When Lionel Messi is being compared to Maradona, this is one of the things that was always commented on. Well, he didn't win the World Cup like Maradona. He didn't lead a team by himself to win the World Cup. However, this is just a myth, and one that does a real disservice to what was a crack Argentine squad, notably built on one of the best defenses in world football. At that time, Argentine sides were dominating the Libertadores and even beating European teams in the Intercontinental Cup. A large number of the squad had won multiple league titles and Libertadores titles, as well as the European players winning titles on the continent. During the World Cup, the three-man backline and their goalkeeper just conceded 5 goals in 7 matches, 2 of them in the final. This was comparable to previous and future World Cup winners. Pompido was excellent in goal, and he was protected by a tremendous 3-man backline of Ruggieri, Jose Luis Brown, and Jose Luis Cuifo. Brown was considered the on-the-pitch manager by Bilardo, and Maradona even referred to him as the bull of the team. Brown had just come back from severe ligament damage in his knees, and his knee had to be drained of fluid after every game. In the final, he even played on with a dislocated shoulder and scored the goal. The 3-5-2 system worked a treat. It allowed Argentina to operate an 8-man defense without the ball and meant that Maradona was free of defensive responsibilities. In midfield, Sergio Batista and Burruchaga provided Maradona with the perfect platform on which to work his magic. Burruchaga also provided an attacking threat from midfield. He was the reigning French Player of the Year and was one of 6 European-based players, and he scored the winning goal in the final. Up front, you had Jorge Valdano, a Real Madrid legend. Valdano had just had 2 magnificent seasons at Real Madrid, scoring 47 goals in 87 games, winning the league that season and winning the UEFA Cup 2 years on the trot, with Valdano scoring 3 goals in 2 of those finals. Looking at that squad and how they played in that World Cup, what those players achieved before and after that tournament, this was a team far from weak. In fact, this was one of the strongest teams at the World Cup. Maradona, though, was the jewel in the crown. Then number 10, the one who they relied on, didn't carry a weak team to this title though. I have always said, thank God Diego is Argentine. We always knew what he meant for us, but we all helped Diego do what he did. We should not forget, we had an extraordinary team that overcame tough times with the maturity needed to get over our problems and do whatever it took for the shirt. In 1984, Maradona moved to southern Italian provincial club Napoli for a world record fee of £6.9 million. His time at Barcelona had been tumultuous to say the least, as he suffered from career-threatening injuries and disputes with club executives and the club president. And Napoli, though, this was where his legendary status was fulfilled. During his time there, they won the league for the first time, a UEFA Cup, and added another league title. Maradona is the greatest because he took a small club to a league title. No one else has done that. This is where another myth around Diego's career was born. Napoli were indeed a southern Italian club that should not have matched the giants of the north. However, after consolidation in the first 2 seasons, the Neapolitans splashed the cash considerably during Maradona's time there. Just taking a look at some of these signings, Italian midfielder Salvatore Bagni arrived alongside Maradona in the summer of '84, and he cost around £5 million, which was close to a world record fee. The young Ciro Ferrara, him, Italian midfielder Fernando Di Napoli, and Bruno Giordano arrived the following year, the latter two for big fees as well. at the start of that first title-winning season, Andrea Carnival was also signed for a big fee from Udinese, and he dovetailed with Giordano and Maradona to create an accomplished attacking unit that won the title. In trying to defend their title, the Neapolitans spent big once again, signing legendary Brazilian striker Careca from Sao Paulo for £2 million. Careca was the top scorer in Brazil and would repeat those exploits at Napoli. After finishing second, Napoli entered the market once again, signing Brazil's defensive maestro Alemão from Atletico Madrid for £2 million. Alemão was the La Liga Player of the Year and the South American Player of the Year too. Luca Fuzzi from Sampdoria also joined for £3 million that year. Both would be instrumental in the following seasons, as Napoli won the UEFA Cup with Alemão scoring in the final, and Serie A the season after. The squad also had some good young players which you might have heard of, such as Francesco Baiano and Premier League legend Gianfranco Zola. Napoli may have been a small club before Diego Maradona arrived, but in the 1980s they were the biggest spending Italian club and had brought together a crack squad to ensure they challenged for the title. The Neapolitan side was built on a defense that conceded only 21 goals in 30 games in their first title win and 31 goals in 34 games for their second title win. Serie A was definitely the toughest and most competitive league at this time, that is true, and Maradona was still central to this team. Just like the Argentina 1986 side, he was the number 10, their inspiration, the central figure of a beautiful success story. However, the story of him single-handedly taking this small club to glory is just that, a story. For Napoli, the glory days of the late 80s would come to haunt the club in the 1990s, as they had to sell off most of their squad due to the financial outlays on building that team around Maradona. Does any of this diminish Maradona's brilliance? Absolutely not. Maradona was and will always be one of the greatest players to have ever lived. His skill, his flair, his ability to change the game, these are all undeniable. But football at its core is a team sport. 11 players on the pitch work together to create glory. Nowadays, even more so, as the sport has become faster, quicker, and more of a team game. Maradona still sits on the top steps of football, and that will never change, regardless of the debunking of myths and stories around him. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.